You are Locked On Astros Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Houston on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Screen. Yeah, I'm here. Hi. Welcome to the Locked On Astros Postcast here today. And boy, oh boy, wasn't that fun. It was just a nice, enjoyable, pleasant day for the Astros as they cruise to a victory over the Minnesota Twins. Thank you for joining us today on this edition of the Locked On Astros Postcast. A day after the Astros were bad yesterday, today was good. I would like more of these days consistently. I would like this month to have a lot of these days over and over and over again. And there were plenty of great things to talk about from this baseball game today, which, by the way, this episode of the Locked On Astros Postcast today is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. So today, with this win, exactly what they needed to bounce back from last night. And this has kind of been the story of the season to me, is that, now look, again, I talked about it last night. If you watched last night's show, if you didn't, it's still available to you, of course, on this YouTube channel or anywhere that you get your podcast. It is free. Just go search for Locked On Astros. You'll get this show and the Locked On Astros show every single day. But you know what? Today, I think, is the definition of this Astros season. They have a night where it's bad. They have a stretch where it's bad, and then they just kind of pull you back in a little bit. Today pulls you back in a little bit, right? Jordan goes deep a couple of times. Kyle Tucker goes deep again. Jose Abreu finally hits a home run. We'll talk a little bit about him in a bit. And then you hope that tomorrow brings more of it. What we all need to see, of course, as Houstonians in this month of June is putting it together consistently. It's been as simple as it can get. They've lacked consistency all season long. And if they want to be the real deal and they want to make a comeback in this division, that will happen by going out there and finding some level of consistency. They've lacked it consistently all year long. But again, today is one of those days where you loved baseball. Getting out to early leads is such a big deal, especially on Framber days. Framber Valdez is a pitcher that we all know it. We've all seen it. He goes from good to bad quickly. He rattles himself. Look, the seventh inning today, he gives up a hit finally. The guy tossed 6 no-hit innings. Was absolutely exceptional. And it can go bad quickly. He did give up a run there in that 7th. It wasn't awful, but you can see he gets rattled a little bit. But when you let him settle into the game by giving him a quick lead, 2 runs there in the first, they score again in the second, they score again in the third, they scored again in the 5th. From the mental side of it for Framber Valdez, that's huge. And that's something that this team has lacked. And really lately, they've lacked scoring in general. I think they'd only scored 8 runs or something in their last 6 games. It wasn't very good coming into today. They have a capability. They have a lineup, and we've talked about that a lot this season, of being a team that can put up numbers consistently. For as inconsistent as they've been offensively, they still have a lead in certain categories in the American League. They're still the number 1 team in certain which is mind-blowing that they're this bad overall on the season, because the record still does say what you are, and the record says that you're a bad baseball team because you've lost more than you've won. That's just a simple fact. But it's days like today where you find yourself going, maybe it can happen. Maybe they can figure out a way to turn it back around. And if they do that, great. That's what I want. I know it's what all of you want. I don't want to live in a world where we're sitting here, think about it, in the middle of, July. And we're going to be talking about, well, what should they do at the trade deadline? Who should they get rid of? I don't want to do that. I want to talk about them in this month of June, which kicks off today on the right way. It was girls' night out today, too. Maybe they should have girls' night out at the ballpark every day until they lose. How about that? Ladies, get out to the ballpark. Make your presence felt. Keep the good vibes going. But the Astros have this series, the rest of it, which is tomorrow. They've got the Cardinals after that. Another team that they should honestly hammer up on. St. Louis has been bad this year. And I think lately they've played slightly better, but they've not been like world beaters this season. They give up a lot of runs. So, again, that's a team that like you go and you look at and you say, hey, you should win some baseball games here. The other series that stand out, of course, the Angels, you should hammer them. Giants will be a little bit tougher. Tigers, you could beat the Tigers. You should sweep the White Sox. Orioles will be difficult. They're probably the best, or say, I mean, I know record-wise they're like the second best team in the American League, but I think you can make the argument that talent-wise they could be the most talented team in the American League. Rockies and Mets after that. This is a schedule in this month that is time to feast. Time to build yourself back. First of all, get yourself back to 500 as quickly as possible. Right now, they're at 26 and 33. Can you reel off 7 in a row? I know that this team has not done that at all. They've not given you reasons to think, hey, 7 in a row is possible for them. But one can dream, right? What Framber did today matters. And simply put, for him, he is going to have to be this guy every time he goes out. Now, again, I know that it's impossible to always have your best day at the office. You don't have them. I don't have them. Some of these shows probably suck half the time because I can't be my best every day. I'm going to come on here and I'm going to screw up saying words, or I'm going to feel like right now, I feel like, honestly, I need to clear my throat a bunch, and I don't know why. But I don't want to sit here and do the microphone the whole time, too. So maybe I'm not having my best day. But hopefully more days than not, I'm having one of my better days. And today was one of Framber's better days. And they have to have that from him. With all the pitching that they've now lost, I know that you've got better starts lately out of Arrighetti, that you've gotten better starts out of Hunter Brown, and you're hopeful that those kind of things can continue. Those are still younger guys. One of them's actually a rookie. The other one's into his second full major league season. There's still going to be bumps in the road there for them. This staff, especially because I mean, mentally for myself, I'm preparing for it, and I think you all need to prepare for it, that we hear the news at some point. I'm going to go ahead and guess that Dana Brown says it tomorrow before the game, like he typically does on Sundays. I'm going to go ahead and guess that he's going to tell you that Christian Javier and Jose Urquidy are both having Tommy John surgery. I think that's what's going to end up happening. So when you don't have them, Framber and Verlander have to carry this staff more than anybody else. And he's got to bottle that up, does Framber. I like the way he pitched today. I think that he didn't try to get too big in the moment at times. I think that he didn't. At times, he's a guy that tries to throw too hard. Sometimes throwing it over the plate at 92, 93, 94 miles an hour is fine. You don't have to throw 97 or 10, but when you need to reach back and get it, blow by a guy, sure. He didn't have a ton of swing and miss today, but you know what? His stuff played it to outs. That's completely fine. Happy with it. Thrilled with it, actually. Because it's just this roller coaster of going into a game of wondering which Framber Valdez will show up. It's not exciting. It's not fun. And maybe it's a sign. Look, overall, since he's come back from the injured list, more often than not, he's not been bad Framber. He's had his moments, but he's not been god-awful Framber. Here's the hoping that this is another sign that good Framber is here. Good Framber is going to stick around for a minute. Good Framber is going to help lead this pitching staff on its way towards helping this team get back to 500 and eventually moving past that 500 mark. We got to talk about the guys that hit the ball over the fence today. And one of them doing it for the first time in 2023. That's next. But right now, it's the time to remind you about FanDuel. Yes, FanDuel. It's winner take all in the NBA and the NHL, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Locked On Astros postcast following an Astros easy win today. I know that, towards the end there, maybe it gets a little bit stressful. Okay, I'll get it out of the way, which, by the way, thank you for joining us. If you're new to the YouTube channel today, please hit the subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. And come back for more. We're here after almost every single Astros game. There will be some times where we don't get to them. Power was a little bit of an issue, knocked out my internet this past week. Plus, it was the West Coast, and I fell asleep one night. So it is what it is. Tomorrow, we're not going to have a show, unfortunately, since the earlier start. I had something already planned, and I was planning on, I thought I'd be home to still do it, but I don't think I'll be home in time. So probably, I'll just tell you that probably won't have a show tomorrow. If I can pull it off, I will have a show tomorrow. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. But for the most part, we're here every single day when the Astros play. We'll do this again when the Texans do play their season this year. We'll do it for all their games. We'll do it for the Rockets games. We'll do it for the Cougs football games. We'll even mix in some Cougars basketball games because we are Locked On Sports Houston here on this channel. So, again, thank you for joining us. Come back and visit us as often as you possibly can, and thank you for spending some time on your Saturday evening with us here today, which that's another great part of today's game. Whew. Not only did you win, you won quickly. If you've listened to me talk for a long time, you know that there's one thing that I love more than anything else is a fast baseball game. Today, 2 hours and 19 minutes. Let's go. And you won, and you hit a bunch of home runs, and it looked good, and it felt good. And that's what I'm talking about. And he had some good defensive plays, too. Jake Myers there at the end of the game. My goodness, what a great play from Jake Myers. He's having himself a career season, is Jake Myers. So far, let's see what he actually took an offer today. Dang, he went down to 281, 826 OPS. But look, can he sustain it? We'll see at the plate. But he's been a more effective player than we've ever seen, and plays. He doesn't have a great arm out there in center field by any means. It's really not good. It's below average for a major league outfielder. I don't care what anybody tells you. It's below average, especially for a center fielder. But he can cover some ground, and he can make some pretty spectacular catches, and that was a spectacular catch today. Guys hitting the baseball over the fence today. Kyle Tucker, good to see him get out of his little mini funk in terms of not hitting the ball over the fence. Now, he's still trying to find it a little bit. I don't know if anybody else has noticed it recently. I feel like he's been getting a lot of fastballs thrown to him. Four-seamers, especially up. I think that teams are trying to make an adjustment against him, which that's what advanced scouting does, is what analytics do. And, excuse me, I think that he's seen a lot of hard stuff up lately. But he also has been still really good, and today hits a ball over the fence. Yordan Alvarez, maybe the biggest revelation of the day today outside of the other guy. He hits the ball over the fence twice. And look, it's very simple. We all know this when it comes to the Astros. Like, if you're going to power rank who's the most important to least important, Yordan, in terms of position players, is he number one? He's not number one. He's number two. I would say he's probably number one. Just because I think look, I do have to wonder at what point does Altuve slow down a little bit? Does his age show, some sort of make some sort of appearance? I don't think it's going to happen necessarily. Now, I'm also talking about a player right now in Jose Altuve who is playing awful baseball and can't hit at all, and is sliding in the wrong direction in terms of all his numbers. So, I think that Yordan, though, just and I always preface it with Yordan as, I list him as number one because of not only his long ball ability, he can flip a game at any second. I mean, he can hit There'd be two guys on, and he can hit a 3-run jack, and it just completely flips the game. He could put the ball over the fence with a flick of the wrist. His presence, though, in the order, I think matters more than anybody else. That's why, to me, he's always number one. And I'm probably disrespecting Kyle Tucker here this season based on the way that he's going. And teams, again, I think teams are starting to change the way that they, go after Tucker because he's starting to get that level of respect that Yordan typically gets. But Yordan is the better pure hitter of the two. They're both great pure hitters. Yordan is a guy that can hit for 325 batting average and can, sorry, my chihuahua over here is trying to get herself into the chair that's next to my thing, and she's crying like a little baby because that's what they do when they're tiny. And she's not old. She's not young. She's old. She's like 5 years old now. Go, Coco, go. Get up there. Come on, go. Dogs. You got to love them. But the Astros need Yordan to be Yordan Alvarez. Simple as that. Because teams pitch the Astros lineup differently if Yordan is going well. And that today, seeing him hit the ball over the fence twice matters. He'd been getting some hits recently, but he also had not been getting really anything but singles. I think he's 6 games in a row he had hits in, but coming into today, but I think just one of those hits was for extra bases. So like he needs to hit with some thump. He can't just be a singles hitter. We all know that. And the Astros just have to have him be the peak Yordan Alvarez, the MVP level Yordan Alvarez. Because if you get that with what Kyle Tucker is doing this season, you're in pretty good shape. You're in pretty good shape for what you are doing out there as a baseball team. And your offense becomes very, very, very lethal in terms of its ability to go out there and do something and put up crooked numbers consistently. So I think of today, that was a massive revelation of things. We'll talk. I don't want to short him by any means, but we'll talk a little bit about Jose Abreu. Also, just getting a general vibe check for all of you as we start the month of June here, and they get a win today over the Minnesota Twins like they did. A great day at the ballpark. Everything feels good. But we'll talk a little bit about Abreu and where your vibes are at on the club in just one moment. Are you looking to step up your fit, is what the kids would say today. That's what I have got 2 nephews here that live in my house, and they always come in. They always go, Michael, how's my fit today? And I look at them and I go, fit's weak. You know why your fit's weak? Because you didn't go to Stitch Fix. Now, look, they're 16 years old and 14 years old, so they're not going to have the ability to have a Stitch Fix fit every single day. Maybe I'm going to get them on it by going to stitchfix.com/MLB and getting their fit right. Get your fit right, not just for them, for myself, for anybody. You could do that with Stitch Fix. They're going to get you give them your size, you give them everything, all your details, and they're going to do the shopping for you. They're going to have you looking great. And look, maybe you're out there, out and about, looking for that one. Stitch Fix gonna make you look better. Trust me. If I had Stitch Fix when I was dating, maybe I'd have been with my wife 5 years earlier. Who knows? Probably not. We didn't, but whatever. You could find that one with the right look. Style that makes you feel as good as you look. Get started today at stitchfix.com/MLB and get $20 off your first fix. That's stitchfix.com/MLB for $20 off. stitchfix.com/MLB. Must redeem within 7 days of sign up. Locked On Astros Postcast here on a Saturday evening. We're going to wrap up before 6 o'clock tonight. Not even 3 hours after the game started. Let's go. I got a bunch of stuff to do. I still have to finish that treadmill that I didn't finish putting together last night after the win. I was tired. I went to bed. So I'm going to put together a treadmill. I'm going to fold some laundry. Probably have a nice glass of wine because you know what? The Astros won today. And I'm very, very happy about it. By the way, if you're new to the channel today, thank you for joining us. Please hit the subscribe button And if you are, well, not new, tell everybody you know that doesn't come to this channel. Say, you have to go to Locked On Sports Houston and hit subscribe and join us after every game. Whether it's the Astros, the Rockets, the Texans, or the Cougs. We are here for you for that all year long. But the podcast is also available anywhere that you get your podcast. Search for Locked On Astros, and you will find that, and it is free. Jose Abreu today hits the ball over the fence. Now, since he's come back, there's not been anything that looks spectacular, right? Defense has been borderline atrocious at times. And he hasn't like smoked the baseball overall. He's had a couple of hits, which is nice. Today he sees the ball go over the fence. You know that has to feel great. And look, you know what? I'm not going to sit here and beat him down as a person. Like, I can't imagine the weight that he feels when he goes out there and doesn't perform and it's gone as poorly as it has for him. Today is not a fix. Today is not a sign that he is out of it. It's not even a sign that he's on the right trajectory. Sometimes you can get lucky and run into one and it will go over the fence, but it's a positive step. And you have to acknowledge that it is a positive step. Does it against, now look, you could make the argument that he does it against a team that he knows very well, and the Minnesota Twins, a team that, he's seen all those pitchers so much. That helps. It absolutely helps. It's a lot like, I was talking about Alex Bregman the other day. He's basically done all of his damage this season until last night. He did everything against the A's or the Mariners. That's it. Teams he knows, pitchers he's seen a million times. So a little bit of Jose Abreu does benefit from the fact that he's so familiar with Twins pitching, playing all his years in the AL Central before last year. I mean, look, he did get hot. I say hot. He had a very solid end of the season, the last month of the season last year. Was it hot necessarily? No, but it was acceptable. It was a run producer is what it was. And this year, it's not even been that, but he went into the postseason, I should say, last year and played Minnesota in that ALDS, and he performed very well. And how much of that was the fact that he's comfortable playing them, knows the ballpark, knows the pitching? It matters. It does matter. But I still can't take it away from him that he went out there today and the Astros, put him in the lineup, threw him in the 8-hole, which is fine. If you're going to play him, you got to hit him 8th or 9th. It's as simple as it gets. And he hit a ball over the fence. Can it spark anything? I mean, I'd still like to hope. I do think that they're going to give it a little bit of a run here to see, of course, if they can fix it. Investment-wise, we know why they're doing it because they've spent a lot of money on him. Again, we all know that, it's a stupid contract, but there's nothing you could do about that. But the Astros, in a perfect world, would love to see him getting going a little bit and forcing them into, okay, he can play. You don't have to take him out of the lineup every day. That would actually be a positive for this baseball team. That would actually be something that is probably telling you that you're starting to win some baseball games if he's playing at the level that he was once capable of playing at. It still is mind-blowing to me that this guy was, and look, he's old. It's pretty simple. The Astros could have just paid for an old, washed player who showed signs of decline his last year in Chicago, and they basically bid against themselves in giving him a 3-year deal. Nobody was going to give that man more than a 2-year deal, but the Astros went above and beyond for their reasoning, Jeff Bagwell's reasoning. So, he's here. The leash, we know this, the leash cannot be long, and I do not expect it to be long. It would be silly if it was long. But I think we can all, in our heads, imagine the feeling of the weight off your shoulders a little bit as you run around the bases today based on the way that it has gone for Jose Abreu, because it has not been great for him of late. It's not been great for him at all this season, of course. And on top of that, he needs that feeling of something, a good result. A good result matters. To me, it's always like, for my comparable now in life, because my baseball years, like all of us, are way, way past me. I haven't played since high school. It's like golf now. I can go out there, and I've really been getting back into my golf game recently. And, things aren't where they once were. They were really, really good for a really long time because I played a lot. I played 2-3 days a week, and I was getting numbers down there, and it was awesome. And then, life happens. You get a little bit older. I get a girlfriend. You start doing more things with her. You start doing whatever. It becomes a little bit less important. Spend your free time with those that you care about. And then, next thing you know, you're only playing 5-6 times a year. So the golf game starts to go away. But as I've started to pick it back up, and it was really frustrating again at the beginning. And I know what I'm capable of. Like Jose Abreu knows what he's capable of. And I didn't get any results at first. And I'm shanking shots off to the right. And I'm like, what is this? This isn't me. And then I get a few results. And it's like, okay. And then they bottle together a little bit. And then the mental side of it gets a little bit better. And then I drag that, out there. And you start seeing more and more results. And you keep practicing. You keep going at it. So hopefully for him, that happens. I am very hopeful for him that from the mental clarity of it, it would ease his mind a little bit. Tomorrow, going to be a tough one. Vibe check feels better today. Still not loving life as an Astros fan with a team that's 26-33. Tomorrow, by the way, Hunter Brown is pitching really well of late against Simeon Woods Richardson. He's a local Sugarland kid. Went to Kempner, and hopefully he gets the home jitters tomorrow and has too many people in the crowd and completely screws up. I'm going to guess that he won't do that, but here's what we know. The Astros have to win the baseball game tomorrow. They're at a point in their season where they can no longer accept not winning series, and tomorrow is a chance to win a series, and they have to have it. They absolutely have to have a series win tomorrow over the Twins, and there's no other way to put it. And if they don't, that's a bad weekend. Can't sugarcoat it at all. A bad weekend for a team that just cannot afford to have bad weekends anymore. Good weekends only are what are allowed for this Astros baseball team. Of course, as I mentioned, I will try my darndest to get myself back here to this computer tomorrow, and we can do a show and hopefully talk about a win. I will send out the tweet. I don't know what you call it if it's not a tweet. I still don't understand the whole X thing, but whatever. At Connor Michael, as you see there, go follow me there. If you're new to this channel, again, please hit the subscribe button. We would greatly appreciate having you around for all these shows. It's always a lot of fun to do it with you guys watching. That makes it a lot better. I hope you guys have a great rest of your Saturday. Talk to you tomorrow right here on the Locked On Astros Postcast.